There has been a lot of discussion happening in the garage during the week. Prior to the race at Grand Detour, I talked about a news story regarding the entry list capacity being increased after the overcapacity event at Cariala in a few short weeks, and how the Independence Trophy competitors were not happy about it. Well, we finally have an update on the situation. The Independents were able to reduce the number of races with the entry list increase down to only 2 races, with those being at Orlando and Minnesota. It took a lot of persuasion, and I'm genuinely surprised that they were able to get Lead Series official Danny Pushrod III to reverse his decision. I know him personally, and he's definitely not the easiest person to negotiate with, so this is a big win for everyone. I'm glad that a compromise was able to be reached between the series officials and the independent teams, and we can focus back on the racing product. Now, let's head to trackside for our first night race of the season. For the first time this season, Clay Marcellus will lead the field down to the green flag with Russ Palmer to his outside. Marcellus gets a pretty okay start. He didn't get a good jump off the line, but as he leads the field down into turns 1 and 2, he's got Bryce Fencing already creeping to his inside here, as you get to see a pretty good shot of the whole field coming down the back straightaway here, as Bryce Fencing dives to the inside of the 01 going into turn 3. Fencing drives it in really hard, but he manages to make it stick, and he's drag racing Marcellus down to the start-finish line. And I think the 57 is going to lead the first lap. He does. And now Marcellus is in danger of losing second to Jay Baldy in the 45. No, Baldy's losing momentum coming off of 2. Marcellus gets the drive off, and he's going to stay ahead of the 45 as they go into turn 3 here. But Jay Baldy's starting to fight back on the 01 as Bryce Fencing's trying to pull away from the field. Baldy's back to the inside of the 01 car. As they come back, the caution comes out, and there's a big wreck in the back. As wide as the Kentucky Speedway is, 4 wide still doesn't work. Alex Constantine and Zaylen Foster make contact coming out turn 4, and both of them come sliding back up the racetrack and cause a massive pileup. Alex Constantine is on his roof. 18 of Eric Hawkinson is upside down, and I think there's one other car upside down. I think that's the 22 of Jose Rodriguez. Here's another look at the wreck. We're focused on the 76 of Alex Constantine. Slides up the racetrack and gets flipped onto his roof by the 22 of Jose Rodriguez. And yes, that is the 22 that went upside down after he made contact with Eric Hawkinson. I think the total count was 16 cars involved in this wreck. And we're riding on board with John Baldy Sr. making his first start of the season in the part-time 49 for Baldy Family Racing. He almost makes it through, but gets hung up by the flipping 76 of Alex Constantine, and then gets hit by the 18 of Eric Hawkinson, who was on his side. And you can see all the other cars involved. And here's the roof camera shot from Eric Hawkinson. Trying to find a way through, just clips the 22, and then gets shoved into the 22 and flips onto his side. That is the 20 of Gustavo Silva Rodriguez he just ran into while sliding on the driver's door. And here's our final roof shot from Jose Rodriguez. Hits the 76 of Alex Constantine, and then gets flipped onto his roof, and, well, we lost that camera. And here's the helmet cam. This is on board with Ronnie Hawkins here. He was towards the back end of the field. All matter of mayhem happens in front of him, downshifts, and actually he's going to get through the wreck with no damage. So great awareness from Ronnie Hawkins to miss that wreck, as Ruben Burns and Valor Christensen have a little tussle getting through the wreck for some reason. The race will restart on lap number 7 with Stephen Bennett as the leader. Every car that was still running after the big wreck came down pit road to check for a possibility of running over debris, to make sure they don't have any flat tires, and went ahead and got service on pit road anyway. As Bennett leads the field down in the back straightaway and in turn 3 here, Marcellus is right on his back bumper. Marcellus is going to dive to the inside of the 0 to try to take the lead. However, he's going to dive straight into the pits along with Jake Blondie, Joey Davidson, and Bryce Fencing. I'm not too sure what the pit call here is, but maybe it's a strategy call. I'm not sure. This was kind of just bizarre 1 lap after the restart. As we move through the field, here is Wes Miller in the 220 for WHN Incorporated. The 15-year-old is back after his 6th place finish at Texas a few weeks ago. And he's the only independent in the race today, as the other 3 positions were filled in by part-time drivers. We'll get into them in just a second, but Miller's having a great run inside the top 10 to start. And here is the first of our part-time drivers. This is the number 64 Henry's Duck Hunting Chevrolet that is being driven by Goose Honk Boy. Yeah, that's his name. This is a third car for the C2 National Racing Team, which fields the 46 of Garrett Banks and the 57 of Bryce Fenting. Goose has only made one start in the series so far this season, which was at the Sniffin' Less Than 100 at Daytona. He only made it 3 laps before being wiped out in an early wreck, and he finished 39th in that race. But right now, he's running inside the top 3. Francesco Valentino was suspended after last week's race at Sonoma for running into Garrett Banks and running him off track, and basically affecting the outcome of his race. In Francesco's place is his father, Giancarlo Valentino, who is driving in the car number 3 today. This is only a 1-race suspension for Francesco, and he will return at the overcapacity event at Cariola. Giancarlo is having an okay run so far. He's currently running in 25th, but he wasn't expected to run very well anyway. So at least he's keeping the car on track and out of the wall. So really all you can do in this situation. And our final part-time driver in the race today, this is the number 72 Baldy Car Sales Chevrolet that is being driven by Jeff Baldy. Yes, that's exactly what you think it means. The Baldy family racing team has entered 4 cars for this race because this is basically their home race. And Jeff Baldy is doing an okay job so far. He's running inside the top 15 right now. And contrary to popular belief, he's actually the less hot-headed of the Baldy family. He's the, let's say, more calm of the 4. And right now he's put into good use with a spirited run in his first career start in this series. After the race at Sonoma, no one was more mad in the garage than Garrett Banks. After having his race pretty much screwed over by the 4 Francesco Valentino basically getting in his way and basically damaging his car, Banks is now making a mission this week to try to, well, get the win back that he was kind of screwed out of last week. Banks is currently running in 3rd as he's passed his teammate Goose Honkboy for 3rd, and now he's trying to run down the 0 Stephen Bennett. Actually, no, Banks is in 2nd. Bennett's the leader, I forgot. My fault. So Banks is definitely on a mission to rebound as here he comes off turn 4 and down the front straightaway. He's got a massive run on the 0 Stephen Bennett. He's going to try to take the lead going into turn 1 here, as both cars are side by side, but Banks' power puts the pedal to the metal. No, Bennett's he got the momentum push on the outside, and now they're both drag racing down the back straightaway as Banks is going to try again to get the lead in turn 3. And this time looks like Banks is going to succeed, and he's going to get the lead away from the 0. And now Banks is going to hopefully try to pull away, and hopefully no lap cars get in his way and ruin his race. That would be ideal for him. Nearby local hero, John Baldy Jr. is making his way towards the front. He's been slowly creeping his way up through the field, and as he's now running in 2nd behind the 46 of Garrett Banks. Baldy Jr. failed to qualify at Daytona to start the season. In his first start at California, he won the race. But then he proceeded to follow up with 3 straight pretty bad finishes by finishing worse than 26 for 3 races in a row. But he managed to rebound at Sonoma on a track he really doesn't like, because he doesn't like road course racing. He finished in the top 10. And now, back at his home track, Baldy Jr. has been laying down some of the fastest laps and is looking like he could be the front runner to win the race today. And wouldn't that be something to win in your home race? Sonoma winner Keon Parker is having a pretty okay day today. He's currently running in 16th. He didn't have a good start. Apparently he's been fighting a loose race car since the drop of the green flag. At least that's what we're made aware of. But he's still managing to hang on inside the top 20. He's fighting with a group of cars, which involves the 63 Kelvin Stevenson. And running back in traffic really doesn't help a loose race car because all the dirty air can mess with the spoiler. But Parker's just kind of holding station, and maybe the car will come to him later on and make a charge towards the top 10. Because he's slowly been climbing up the points charts after he had kind of a rocky start to the season, especially after failing to qualify for Daytona. Daisuke Hiroshimi is running really well and punching above his weight. He's currently running in 9th with the underpowered Olympica Javelin. And outside of a top 20 finish at Texas, he has yet to even crack, in the top 15 once this season. and he's also had multiple mechanical failures, which hasn't helped either. But hopefully this might be the day where Daisuke finally actually gets a good finish inside the top 20, and actually possibly inside the top 15 as well, as he's currently running in 9th. Approaching halfway through the race here, John Baldy Jr. is actually catching Garrett Banks, has been running lap times just about 4/10 quicker than the 46. As you can see, that is the 13 of Russ Palmer, who's just behind the 48. But John Baldy Jr. looks like they got the setup right this week, and he's definitely marching ahead and trying to get the 46. And Banks might have some competition here in a few short laps. The 06 of Dustin Harris is looking for another good run. He's not quite on pace to get another top 5 like he did at Sonoma, but he's running inside the top 20, and if he stays there, that's a good points day for him, as he definitely needs some more points so he can climb up the points chart, especially to outrun his teammate, who he's clearly beaten by a mile. The second and final caution will come out on lap 30, and one of the most bizarre incidents I've ever seen. John Baldy Sr. apparently just breaks loose coming out of turn 4, and the car just shoots into the infield. Yeah, I got nothing on this one. The officials called John Baldy Sr. and his crew chief to the hauler just to find out what happened there. Anyway, for the restart here on lap 35, ignore the fact that we're focused on Stephen Bennett in the 0. He is not the actual leader of the race. That's actually Garrett Banks in the 46, who is about the 5th car in line. Why we're focused on the 0, I don't know. I think one of the interns got the wrong camera shot. But mainly, here's what we want to focus on. Joe Vivic in the 37, who is about 2 laps down, is extremely slow. A lot of people in the garage haven't been too happy with his driving style the last few weeks, just kind of being a pretty slow back marker and just not getting out of the way. I understand it's kind of difficult, especially at a smaller oval, to try to get out of the way because there's really nowhere for him to go. He's on the outside, he's given plenty of space on the bottom, well, except for right there where he just chopped off the 44 of Joey Davidson, and Davidson just shook his fist at him. At least I think he did. It might have been the finger, I don't know. It's hard to tell through the windshield. But Vivek's just being really slow and just kind of being a nuisance right now. As we focus in on the 42 of Ronnie Hawkins here, you would think that the battle between him and the 0 Stephen Bennett is a battle for the lead. It actually isn't. This is a battle to basically stay ahead of the 46 of Garrett Banks, who is the 4th car in line. He is the actual leader of the race. Hawkins and Bennett are just trying to stay ahead of the 46 to stay on the lead lap, along with the 53 of Kevin Flagrant, who restarted at the tail end of the field on the last restart. But Hawkins currently leads that group, but here comes the 46 of the Green Shark, which is the Garrett Banks, as Banks has gotten under the 0 Stephen Bennett. This is basically creating a huge logjam with the leaders because Banks, John Baldy Jr., and Clay Marcellus are in the middle of a bunch of lap cars trying to stay on the lead lap, which is pretty annoying. And going back through the field just a tad bit, here is a battle for 3rd place between the 13 of Russ Palmer, the 30 of Daisuke Hiroshimi, and the 73 of Zeke Miller. In the last shot, I said that Clay Marcellus was running in 3rd. That is actually wrong. He is a lap down. I was focusing on the wrong black and red car. But Hiroshimi is having a great run. They said his best finish so far this season is 20th, which was at Texas. And he's running inside the top 5 with a very underpowered car. He's trying to fend off Zeke Miller for 4th. And also give a call to Jackson Malin in that blue 54 car, who's running just outside the top 5. And he's been pretty anonymous this entire day. But yeah, a great run for some of the underdogs in the series. The last time we checked in on Jeff Baldy, he was running just inside the top 15. However, on this latest stretch, he's actually running in 7th now. The team finally got the setup right after the last caution, and now he's been charging through the field. He's bringing Wes Miller into 220 with him. But a great showing for Jeff Baldy in his series debut. I don't think he even expected to run this well, but it's a welcome surprise. And hopefully we see Jeff Baldy in more races later on, because he's proven that he can definitely run really well in this series. Like I said, he's also this is also his home race, as he's from neighboring Richmond, Kentucky. But yeah, huge props to the 72 of Jeff Baldy and the Baldy family racing team for bringing another competitive car to the racetrack. Not like we needed another one. Running around with about 22 laps to go here, John Baldy Jr. has finally caught up to the back bumper of the 46 of Garrett Banks, and he's been hounding him for at least the last lap and a half. John Baldy Jr. wants to win this race just as bad as Garrett Banks does, since Banks was screwed out of a win last week, but John Baldy Jr. dives to the inside underneath the 46, and he's going to try to get the lead coming off 4 here. Banks is going to stick to the outside and drag race him to the line. Baldy Jr. gets the lead the lap there. But Baldy gets a great run through the front straightaway and dives it off into turn 1. Banks is trying to fight back. No, Banks has to check up on the exit of turn 2, and John Baldy Jr. has assumed the lead of the race, and he's pulling a pretty big gap over the 46. Looks like Banks just lost the momentum when he had to check up coming off turn 2. And John Baldy Jr. is now 20 laps away from possibly winning at his home race. Another driver whose car has started to come alive late in the race is the 14 of Keon Parker, the race winner at Sonoma last week. The team worked on the car under the last caution and has been slowly picking away positions, but now it seems like the car's come alive and he's definitely trying to make a run inside the top 10. I doubt he'll get up to the top leaders, but he can possibly get a top 5 as long as the car comes to him and everybody else's handling falls off. But a great rebound for Keon Parker after it looked like he could have been kind of in the midfield most of the day. But great work by the Jorkanet Racing team to get that car squared away, and Parker's trying to make a move on Jeff Baldy for 9th. One driver who's crept his way into the top 10 out of nowhere is the 38 of Donghoy Who's Your Daddy. On their last caution, they made the car a little bit looser than they would like to have it, but it's increased speed on the car, and so he's been running pretty good lap times to get himself in the top 10. However, there is a little bit of concern that the handling could go away from him and the car gets a little bit more free and he could drop back a little bit. Right now he's holding station in 8th right now, and this is still a great run for the Big Bang Racing team. I think they have both of their cars inside the top 10 at this moment. John Baldy Jr. took the lead away from Garrett Banks on lap 47. Ever since then, he's been pulling away and dominated the last 20 laps of this race as he took the white flag last time by. He has a 3-second gap over the 46, and unfortunately for Garrett Banks, he will not be able to reclaim another win that he lost at Sonoma last week. But John Baldy Jr. will come across the line to take his second career victory and second win of the season for the Baldy family racing team, and takes the victory in his home race in Kentucky. And here are the results. John Baldy Jr. wins the race. This is his second straight top 10 finish. And ironically enough, his 3 top 10 finishes on the season are 2 of his wins. So make of that what you will. Garrett Banks comes home in second after just missing out at a win at Sonoma. He just misses out another win here in Kentucky. But he does have good momentum. That's 3 straight top 10s for him, so not much to hang his head on there. Max Throwing finishes in 3rd. He was anonymous the entire race. I didn't even mention him once, but looks like a late strategy call put him up in the top 5 and he got rewarded with a podium. I believe this is his first one of the season. Wes Miller comes home in 4th. That is 2 races and 2 top 10s for him. So very, very proud of, well, at least WHN Incorporated is very proud of this 15-year-old driver who I guess now is considered a prospect. He's got some great speed in that 220 car. Daisuke Hiroshimi comes home in 5th. That is his best career finish and the best finish on the season for the Big Bang Racing team, and another great run for the Olympica Javelin. That team definitely needed that. Finishing in 6th is Jeff Baldy in his series debut, so that makes 2 Baldy family racing cars inside the top 10. Zeke Miller comes home in a quiet 7th. Didn't really talk about him too much the entire day, but another representative of Richmond, Kentucky in his home race. Another top 10 for him. Jackson Malin comes home in 8th. That's his best finish of the season. Russ Palmer comes home in 9th. Kind of fell off towards the end of the race. Handling went away, which was expected. And Keon Parker, last week's winner at Sonoma, comes home in 10th. And here's 11th through 20th. Tavion Cobb comes home in 11th. I didn't talk about him at all today, but he finished one position behind his teammate Keon Parker, so both Dorkenet Racing cars got inside the top 15. Jacob Lauren comes home in 12th. That is the second race in a row where he's beaten the 76 of his teammate Alex Constantine. Dongoy Who's Your Daddy comes home in 13th, and that puts both Big Bang Racing cars inside the top 15 for the first time ever in the team's existence. Derek Lewis comes home in 14th, a great rebound after he finished pretty poorly at Sonoma. Kareem Abdul-Najjar comes home in 15th. He also had a pretty miserable day at Sonoma, but a top 15 is pretty good for him. He was a winner at Bristol earlier in the year. Valor Christensen comes home in 16th. I think he was involved. He had a little bit of contact with the first caution and didn't really recover, but he did finish on the lead lap. And a top 20 is good for him going into next race out at Cariala. Goose Honkboy ran up front at the beginning of the race, but the handling just went away apparently, and he just fell down to 17th. Giancarlo Valentino in his first start of the season comes home 18th in a fill-in for his son Francesco Valentino. He kept it out of the wall and didn't get involved in any incidents, so I say it's a job well done for him. Dream Abdul Sagar comes home at 19th, pretty quiet the entire day. And rounding out the top 20, Kelvin Stevenson for the Hollywood Cardinal Racing Team. And here are the point standings after 7 of 25 races. Alex Constantine is still the points leader. However, with his poor finish today and Garrett Banks' runner-up finish, Banks has closed the gap to only 5 points behind Alex Constantine. So Alex's points lead is now in danger. Keon Parker falls to 3rd in points, but is still only 8 points behind Alex Constantine. Valor Christensen falls to 4th in points with an even 200. Jacob Lauren falls to 5th. John Baudy Jr. with his win moves up to 6th in points. He's now back in the top 10 in points since California. Russ Palmer falls down to 7th. Dream Abdul Sagar is tied for 8th with his cousin Kareem. But still a great season for the Cigars and Paris team. And rounding out the top 10 in points, Stephen Bennett moves up 1 spot to 10th in points. And here's 11th through 20th. Joey Davidson falls out of the top 10 to 11th in points. Clay Marcellus stays where he is. He didn't move at all. He's in 12th. Gustavo Silva Rodriguez cracked the top 10 last week, but now falls out of the top 10. He's now in 13th. He's in a 3-way tie with Dustin Harris and Zeke Miller. Bryce Fencing is 16th in points. Pretty anonymous day and falls 3 spots in points. Ronnie Hawkins also fell 3 spots in points, but with how the Duncan GT Striker runs, that's not too surprising. He's doing all he can with it. Max Strothrowen with his 3rd place finish jumps up 13 spots to 18th in points. This is the first time he's been in the top 20 all season. Zaylen Foster's still hanging on in the top 20. He's 19th. And rounding out the top 20 is Kevin Flagrant in the Black Flag Motorsports number 53. And we'll take a quick look at the independent standings so far. Tommy Salami finally has been surpassed as the leader. Wes Miller, after his 4th place finish today, takes the independent lead with an 8-point gap over Tommy Salami. Zebediah Wheat Farmer, Barrett Cervantes, and T Scorpio all moved down 1 spot. Other than that, no other changes because Wes Miller was the only independent in the race today. After 7 races, it's time to head overseas for our second overcapacity event of the season. We're heading to Finland for the 6th running of the Karjala World Invitational at the famous Karjala Raceway. No drivers are locked in, so everyone who enters will have to race their way in. This will also be our first double points race of the season. This has been Jim Format for the Reject Sports Network. See you then! If you have enjoyed the Rejectcar Elite Series and want to watch more races, click here to watch the playlist of the season so far. If you want to keep up with this series and don't want to miss a race, please consider subscribing by clicking here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.